Welcome to day 1 of the Active Moms Challenge. Thank you for joining me. If you have found bouncing back into exercise difficult postpartum, or maybe even just different after having a baby, this is the challenge to get you moving in the right direction for 2021. By the way, bouncing back in 6 weeks is 100% not the norm. We will talk more about that later in our challenge. So instead of feeling bad about your body, I want to empower you with information on how recovering postpartum takes time and give you a little guidance on how we can support that process. This challenge is a 3-day event with bite-sized videos on core, pelvic floor, and tying it all together to see where you are right now and see where you could be with consistent work and a few pointers for myself. I'm a mama and a physical therapist who experienced some complications postpartum, and I used my knowledge and experience with postpartum corrective exercise to help myself and others to become the strong mamas that we all know that we are. To help motivate you, there will also be a giveaway in the Active Mamas Facebook group at the end of this challenge. More details will be given at the end of this video, so make sure you stay tuned. You do not want to miss the prize if you're dedicated to prioritizing your health in 2021. A few things about this challenge before we get started with day 1. First, this challenge is for educational and informational purposes for those with clearance to exercise. This is not medical advice or a replacement for physical therapy. If you do need a physical therapist, just reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to direct you to resources that will help you find one. Second, like I mentioned earlier, this is a no-shame zone. Even though we may discuss areas for possible improvement, my goal here is not to shame you into exercising. I'm sure you're a busy mom. We all have to pick and choose our priorities in life, and if you're here, I'm going to move forward assuming that you're picking your health as a priority. If that's not the case, there is no shame in that, but this challenge just may not be right for you right now. So moving forward, go you for prioritizing your health right now. Let's go ahead and get started with our core. This area tends to be a hot topic, especially postpartum. While I think talking about the pressures that we feel about our physical appearance is a great topic, I'm going to save that for the live next week in the Active Mamas group with Aliza and focus on our physical abilities in this challenge. So I have a question for you as we get started. Did you feel like your abs were recovered at your 6-week clearance visit with your OBGYN? I can be fairly certain that you didn't. And why is that? That's because there's research to show that a growing distance between our 2 six-pack muscles is normal at the end of pregnancy to make room for our growing baby. And that it takes an average of 6 months for this distance to return to a new normal. So this is why I'm not going to challenge you to do sit-ups or crunches today. This can be a great exercise, but doesn't target your whole core. So here's going to be my challenge for you today. 1 minute of a plank. I'm going to pack this with tips about how to use your abs and the rest of your body in a way that enhances most people's recovery rather than hindering it. So let's get started. Today, I want you to start with a wall plank to master some basics about your core and work multiple muscle groups to get more bang for your buck. We are going to learn about form using, like I said, the wall plank first, and then you're going to find a position that's challenging for you. And then we're going to do the same with the side planks that's going to be used to challenge the outsides of our bodies and hips. Note that this plank exercise can be a challenge for those with diastasis recti, hernias, and possibly pelvic organ prolapse, so I highly recommend working with a women's health physical therapist to reconnect with your core for one-on-one support if you're struggling with these conditions. Okay, so we're going to get started with the plank form. What I'm going to have you do is face the wall. You're going to be a little bit more than an arm's length away from the wall. Your feet are going to be about hip width apart. Get a nice solid foundation there. And then you're going to put your arms out a little lower than shoulder level. Just make sure not to lock out your elbows or your knees. You're going to keep a slight bend in those. And then what I want you to do is maintain space between your ears and your shoulders. and just come tall through your spine with your posture. And then one pro tip is you're leaning into the plank. Think about spreading the wall with your hands. This just helps to activate some of the muscles around our shoulder blade area that give us a little extra support to take some stress off of our necks. So once you're in this position, we're coming nice and tall. We're gonna activate our core now. So a pro tip that I have for you, one easy way to just get your core to engage is to use an exhale as you're engaging that core. So you can try that if you'd like to today. How we're gonna activate our core is in this plank position, up nice and tall. We're gonna think about drawing our pubic bone gently towards our face. So we're not doing a huge tilt here. We're just doing a gentle drawing in to somewhat flatten out that back. You should notice that as that core is engaging, it makes it a little bit easier for you to have a neutral position for your neck as well. So watch that your back isn't dipping or extremely arching, and also just watch that your head and neck aren't coming forward with the shoulders raising up. So we should be in a nice gentle position, just activating our core here. So that's going to be our basic foundational posture for our plank. From there you can start progressing it. So we'll start talking about a couple different positions, because I'm sure the question that you have is, how do we do that? How do we find the right amount of challenge for your body? So you can start with the wall plank, and that's perfectly fine if that's where you're at today. I'd rather you have good form. You can also start to move down from the plank onto, say, a countertop. You can use like the back of a couch or the arm of a couch, as long as it's a sturdy surface that you're working from. A chair pushed against a wall is another option for you. And then from there we would move down to doing like a plank on your knees, and then a full plank position. If you can hold your wall plank for a minute straight with good form, not much challenge, you're ready to progress your plank. And if you're noticing coning between your abdominals or having any difficulty maintaining good form, regress your plank. If you're having trouble connecting with your abs, can't control the coning, check out the Reconnecting with Your Abs After Baby unit in the Active Mamas group. It's going to give you more info, because sometimes reconnecting with your deep core is necessary before getting to planking. And there's no shame in that. It's just a necessary step in the process. So let's try holding our plank in our self-selected challenge position. And you're going to hold it for as long as you can until you can't maintain good form due to muscle fatigue. Record the amount of time it takes you to get there, and you're going to shave off 5 seconds. And then this is going to be considered your rep time. You're going to perform 3 sets of that rep time, or you're going to plank for a total of 1 minute when you add all the rep times together. One tip that I want to make sure that you're doing when we consider good form is making sure that you're still able to breathe throughout that plank. So no holding your breath, no holding a shallow breath. I want you to be able to breathe. We're going to touch more on that tomorrow as we go over pelvic floor. So let's go ahead and try our plank. So find your self-selected challenge position. And then let's see, I'll set my timer here. And then you're going to go ahead and get into your plank form. So as you're getting into your position, just check in with yourself and check that you're using that good form. So no locking out the knees. You're going to keep them slightly bent, elbows slightly bent. You're going to draw your pubic bone towards your face. Keep long distance between your shoulders and your ears. Elongate your spine, and even check in with your head posture. Make sure that you continue breathing. And just take a break when you get to the point that your form is breaking down, like we talked about earlier. So if you're continuing to plank, great. We've got about 7 seconds left. And if you're not quite to that point, you might take a rest break and then finish out your minute of the plank. So that was our 1 minute timer. I'm sure you guys all did great today. It's not so much about making it to the full minute with the plank that you've selected. It's just making sure that you're doing that form properly. Okay, so now let's give a little love to our side bodies. We're going to start with a side plank from our knees. Many of the same postural concepts carry over. So for your side plank, you can start by planking on your knees. You're just going to stack them together. Place your elbow about under your shoulder. Spread out your hand. And then you're just going to lift up, squeezing your glutes and turning your whole body. So not just your shoulders, but your waist and your shoulders together, slightly facing towards the ground. This is just going to help activate your core. So like our front plank, you're going to pull your pubic bone towards your face. Keep that space between your ear and your shoulder. Elongate your spine. And just make sure that that head isn't getting into that forward position again. So just activating our core here. Using exhales if you need to. Like the front plank, you're going to find the challenging position, and then we're going to hold the plank in our self-selected challenge position. You're going to time it and hold as long as you can until you can't maintain good form due to muscle fatigue. You're going to take that time, shave off 5 seconds, and this is going to be your rep time. You're going to perform 3 sets of this rep time or plank for a total of 1 minute. So we're going to find our self-selected side plank position, whether that's from your knees or going to be a full side plank. I'm going to start my timer. I'm going to do the full plank so you'll get to see what that looks like. You're going to stack your elbow under your shoulder again. I put my top foot in front, gets my adductors a little bit and helps me engage my core, turning slightly towards the floor. Pubic bone towards my face, squeezing my glute, elongating here, and watching my neck position. So I'm going to come down because it's pretty tough for me to talk and do my plank at the same time. Just an update for those who are doing your plank, you've got about 25 seconds left on your plank. Just make sure that you're continuing to take nice, full, deep breaths and not doing any breath holding as you're doing your plank. You're doing great. If you need to take a break, take that break and then continue. When you're ready, we've got about 8 seconds left. After this, you just want to repeat this on the other side as well. So that is 1 minute for those who are still in that plank position. So we're going to go straight into the other side. So flip around to the other side. Everything's the same except opposite top foot. We're going to do 1 more minute of the side plank. And this time I'm just going to focus on my breathing. We'll talk about this tomorrow. But I'm taking full inhales, helping to engage my core and my pelvic floor. So we're about 30 seconds down. Everybody's doing great. Almost done with day 1 of the challenge. 10 seconds. And that's the timer. So great job making it through day 1 of the challenge. And here's where the real challenge comes in. Looking forward, where will you find less than 10 minutes, 2 to 3 days per week to challenge your core for the next 8 weeks? You're going to schedule this time out today and you're going to be one strong mama come March of 2021. I want you to let us know in the comments below your realistic plan for fitting this exercise in. There are a lot of ways to diversify the plank. I like to add movement now that I've mastered the basic plank, but things like experiencing pain, pelvic heaviness, or leakage are not necessarily normal, so consult with a women's health PT if you're finding that challenging. Thanks for joining me for day 1 of the Active Moms Challenge. If you need a little more motivation to keep up with this challenge, like I mentioned in the beginning, There's a giveaway happening in the Active Mamas Facebook group. One lucky mama will win a free Active Mamas Postpartum Foundation workshop seat. This is a 6-week virtual group fitness workshop that I'm running starting in January. And here's what you need to do in order to participate. You need to comment on this video. You can answer the question I asked above, or any future challenge videos in the Active Mamas Facebook group. And you also need to invite one friend to this group. See the giveaway post in the group for full details. And I'll see you tomorrow for challenge day 2, pelvic floor.